All right, welcome back. Joining us for our political roundtable, Republican analyst Ginny Buckingham and political analyst Samantha Gross from the Boston Globe. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, first up, reaction to Senator Markey. Ginny, we'll start with you.
Well, he's definitely more energized than I've seen him in a long time. So that shows that having a race is a good thing, not just for him, but for democracy. He's betting it all that progressive is going to win over Moulton's argument that fighting Trump harder is what matters. And we'll see. It's neck and neck, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed really confident coming out of the debate in Western Massachusetts earlier this week, and I think he's bringing that energy. You know, he performed well, and I think, you know, beat expectations for facing off against Moulton.
All right. Well, thousands of nurses at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, they went on strike for one day on Wednesday of last week. The hospital is continuing to lock out the striking nurses through Monday, though. The two sides are at odds over wages, benefits, and working conditions. So how does this get resolved? Does it fall on Governor Healey? What do you think, Samantha?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot she can do, right? But at the same time, you know, her mom's a nurse. She's made that a central part of her campaign, that she supports, you know, unions and nurses and folks, you know, working class folks. But, you know, there's not a lot she can do. She brought them into the State House for a brief meeting earlier this week.
Brief.
Can't she twist some arms, though? She has some say over Mass General Brigham.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's probably having private meetings, if I had to imagine. You know, there's a lot of folks high up that she's probably calling, but it's hard to say right now. There's not a lot she can do.
What do you think, Ginny?
There's not a lot she can do. There's not a lot she should do. You know, she's in the middle of the biggest private employer in the state and nurses unions, and I love nurses as much as anyone, but this is a private collective bargaining agreement that should be hashed out between the two sides.
All right, let's talk about the bombshell political story from the past week happening right here in New England. Democrat Graham Platner suspending his campaign for U.S. Senate in Maine. The decision comes after a woman accused him of sexual assault. It comes also after weeks of other allegations. Platner calls this accusation, this most recent one, categorically false. Ginny, can Democrats recover from this, and will they lose control of the Senate because of this seat in Maine?
Yes, and they should. He never should have been the candidate.
But the voters decided, right?
The signs were written all over the wall. He was boosted by the Bernie Sanders, by the Elizabeth Warrens, by the Ed Markeys of the world. That's why he rose. His populist message was one thing, but he got all of that support. They shouldn't win, and they won't.
Samantha?
I think it's going to be really hard. They have a really short timeline until their July 27th deadline to the Democrats to pick a candidate.
And vet someone.
You know, the people who supported him in the primary, like primary voters is a really small section of the voting bloc. And so I think it's going to be really tricky. Also, Democrats are not united behind one candidate. There's this kind of list that seems to be growing of folks, you know, throwing their name into the race, and it's going to be a hard road ahead for them.
Uphill battle. All right. A deadly shooting in Cambridge has renewed the shot spotter debate. Police say an off-duty city worker was found dead on the 4th of July, an hour after he was shot. Cambridge eliminated gunshot detection technology earlier this year, known as Spot Shotter. Two Cambridge police unions say ShotSpotter would have helped the victim be found sooner, potentially saving his life. ShotSpotter is often criticized over accuracy and also privacy concerns. Will more communities, do you think, Samantha, start having this conversation?
I think so. I mean, with the ramp up of ICE arrests, you know, last year and earlier this year, there was conversations in communities about surveillance and, you know, kind of targeting things like ShotSpotter. So I bet these conversations will be revisited as, you know, this shooting was just brought to light, you know, what ShotSpotter could have done in this situation.
Yeah, Ginny, what do you think?
So it went down 5-2. There were two counselors that fought it. Tim Flaherty, my BC classmate, was one of them. They should bring it back to the council and say this is exactly what we were talking about. This man would be alive today if we did not get rid of ShotSpotter, and they should bring it back.
All right, on a much lighter note, World Cup matches, they've come to an end in Foxborough. Massachusetts hosted millions of visitors over the course of the 7 matches there at Gillette. I'm not calling it Boston Stadium. We saw large watch parties, ramped up public transit, tourists, of course those Scots, and from all over the world. It was a lot of fun as a state. Ginny, did we exceed our expectations?
Well, we had very low expectations, so
We did.
that wasn't hard. It seems like it went really well and people had a lot of fun. Let's keep the fun going. I don't want to rain on the parade, but I would like to see an objective analysis of how this actually went, how the revenues came in for the entertainment industry, how the tea actually worked, and did it lose money, did it make money? I'd like to see some real numbers.
Could we do later last calls, you think, permanently?
I mean, I'm in bed by 9, so I don't know.
It was a different vibe, though, Sam, right?
It was, and I actually asked the economic development chair about this earlier this week, Carol Fiola, who said, there's a report that has to come out at the end of December, the end of the year, and that will show whether the, pushing last call till 3 a.m., what that really brought in for cities and towns across the state. I'm really interested in seeing that data, too. I think it's interesting. People were out, people were coming into Boston from around to enjoy that.
All right, our conversation continues after the break.